So I just want to say, TJ, thank you so much for taking over my responsibilities on Monday night. I mean, I really greatly appreciate it. We, as everybody knows, I was participating in a primary. We came up a little bit short, but my wife and I had planned to spend some time alone together. In fact, since we've been married, I don't think we spent more than 3 days away from town together. And so this was an opportunity to spend a week. Quite frankly, it got so good to us that I kind of cleared my schedule and have been doing everything virtually, at least for the remainder of the week. And I appreciate you even letting me participate in this show remotely. So you have really toted a lot of water for me, brother, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all that you're doing for Rocky Mountain. So I'm gonna let you take it off from there because you were the man on Monday night.
No, but I appreciate it. And I'm glad you and your wife were able to get away. It's much needed, and keeping your top priority, main priority, the main thing. So I'm sure she enjoys it just as much as you do. So with Monday's meeting, it was our 4 p.m. meeting on the 25th, I believe was the date,
Yep.
And it was a great meeting. We started off per usual. It makes it real easy when I've got a template to go by, and I've watched you do it over the last 3 years, and so it was very very convenient to be able to just act as the temporary or acting interim mayor, if you say so. It was a great opportunity for me, great experience just to be able to have that. But everything was pretty much clean cut. For the most part, generally, the same routine and regiment of our agenda. Once we got down to the presentations and recognitions, we had a couple different recognitions that we offered, and presentations, proclamations for La Empress Ladies Boutique, over 50 years
Sure.
of service, one of the oldest downtown businesses in the city of Rocky Mount. Phenomenal story. Young lady that started with $300 of financing over 50 years ago, and 50 years later, still having a successful and thriving business in downtown Rocky Mount that's not only serving Rocky Mount, but all over the nation. And so that
Well,
was a
first of all,
testament.
just to build a business that lasts for 50 years is quite a testament. And there are a lot of low lows in that story, and there are a lot of high highs in that story. I don't know them all, but I mean, it's something that's absolutely to be celebrated. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I know that they had an event, I believe it was Sunday, and I had been invited. But again, a chance for my wife and I to get away. At some point, you just have to say, I can't do it all. But what a great business and what a great story. And we got several of those in downtown Rocky Mount, but it was her anniversary, and so great that we celebrated her. And I was glad to see that council came about doing a resolution in support of her. I thought that was a nice touch. Absolutely.
Definitely. And man, the event that Sunday at Prime Smokehouse, to see what Prime transformed into, I hope a lot of people would would contact Ed and his wife there to try to figure out how they can transform Prime for special events. Man, it was amazing. 5-star meal, and just a absolutely beautiful event. Then we had a proclamation for, I believe it was the fireman of the year and policeman
Right.
of the year from the Lions Club, and so
Right.
that was great, being able to see both of those individuals be able to be honored and celebrated. Because in service, you can't pay them for what they truly are worth, and their true value, and all of the time, commitment, and sacrifices that they give. So it was just great to be able to honor
I
them.
mean, well, it's a person's life worth. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really what you're talking about. They're willing to put their lives at risk for us. I mean, that's a big deal. I don't think folks fully appreciate it when they see a policeman or a fireman walking down the street, but that's what they're doing.
Exactly. So it was just great to be able to honor them in what they did, and all that they do for the city. Then we had public comment. There were just a few, I think about 6 or 7 from the public that came to give comment. And the comments that stood out the most were the comments around the sort of, some people phrase it as outer loop or the southern loop. But I just see it as a access to the southern side of the city and into inner city, Rocky Mount, and I think I don't know where the communication. I didn't read and it's probably terrible on my part, but I don't hardly ever read the telegram. So if I don't see it on social media, or if I don't find it, in City Hall, I never read the telegram. But apparently there were some remarks that you had, Mayor, in the telegram about the actual Southern Loop Road, or the Southern City Connector Road. I think it was one of those things where when something hits the telegram, it's sort of, it's out there now, and so now everyone can take it. But I believe it was sort of, we haven't really, we had our initial meeting with DOT, me, yourself, Councilman Daltrich, and Councilman Joyner, just an initial conversational meeting, just to make sure that it was on the priority list of DOT, to make sure that it happened. I think from that, I think the public, from the newspaper article, of your comments, I think the public sort of called it and wanted to make sure they were in the loop, which is totally understandable. And I think at the proper time they'll do so. But I'll let you speak to that, because it was your comments.
Absolutely. So since I am the center of all of this,
That's
um,
it.
I really started thinking about, well, how do we benefit residents in South Rocky Mountain? How do we create more opportunity for Edgecombe County, who is a neighboring county, one of our counties? And, and so one of the things that kind of hit me is, well, gosh, if we connected US 64, which is getting ready to be an interstate, to Highway 301, what that would do is it provide another access point into the intermodal, which would really increase, I think, a lot of traffic flow, increase a lot of opportunity for industrial land, which would create some jobs. It would create access points for, Old Wilson Road and Cokie Road, to get back to greater services such as Vidant over in Tarboro, or Nash General in Rocky Mount. Anywhere there's a road, generally there is a prosperity that is brought to the forefront. And so that was the primary concern in listing this as really a vision. It came out in my State of the City address, and you're right, you and I and others have been part of at least some exploratory conversations with DOT about how to get it on the plan. So let's just talk about that a little bit. So as I understand from that meeting and from some others, to get it on the plan means that we have to do a survey and a study on the environmentals to make sure that we're not, disturbing, swamps. And if we are, then what's it going to take to be able to make the road happen? It also lays out what a potential plan or path of that road could be. And then once those surveys are done, we try to roll that up into our transportation plan. A project of this size would actually belong to the state of North Carolina. We become part of the North Carolina Department of Transportation's project, and really wouldn't be a city initiative at all, but would be competing with projects in places like Jacksonville and Greenville and Wilson and all over the state, and this would be rather significant. So as I understand, you go through the survey, a number of things create priority. One, does it create better public safety? Two, does it enhance commerce and economic development? And three, what are the environmentals? Is it adversely impacting the environment or not? And obviously less is better in that score. And there are several others that we have to go through. So the process just to get this thing really to a place that we can call it a plan is probably a year, maybe 2 years from now. So as you look at Rocky Mount, the only place to really connect to 301 is kind of in that Temperance Hall, Little Mexico area. Anything, if you go down, what is it, Brake Road, or what also becomes Kingston Road, you have the problem with the trestle there. It's too low to be able to bring trucks through. And from that point, going south to Little Mexico, Temperance Hall, is the Rocky Mount switching yard, which is another problem. So you really that's the only place you come out south and really have that impact without going through town and really disturbing a lot of folks. I don't know what the appropriate path should be, nor do I know, things about the DOT. What I do believe is that what would enhance our ability to help, most frankly, one of the poorer parts of our community, less fortunate, it should enhance opportunity for services. It should enhance access to things that we have going. So that's really where it is in my head. But we
Mhm.
haven't even done a survey yet, and
Yeah.
hopefully through this budget process, we'll be able to carve out enough money to at least be able to do a small survey to see if something like this is even practical. And again, I believe it would do nothing but enhance the economic viability of South Rocky Mount, Sharpsburg, even connect it to the intermodal, connect it to the airport, which does a fair amount of cargo transport. I don't think folks realize that from that little Mexico area to Sharpsburg or to the airport, it's only about 3 miles, 4 miles.
Hmm.
One of the things that the airport's trying to do, the airport authority's trying to do, is consider a study as to whether or not connecting a rail spur from the airport into the main line or maybe the switching yards over in South Rocky Mount, the cost benefit of that. Because again, we're really starting to pick up a lot of cargo. I don't think folks really realize that. We're becoming a logistics hub. And all I'm trying to do is present a picture and vision of how can we connect these points so that it creates the greatest amount of prosperity. It flows as quickly. It's not just so disrupting to folks, and on and on and on. So I'm sure there's a list of folks who are, concerned. I'm sure property owners, where I propose to draw the map, are probably concerned, but nothing is firm yet. But I do believe, and I hold strongly to this belief, that creating roads to places and around places that can use our help create nothing but benefit. The other thing that we were told, at least during those meetings, is that it would be very unlikely that a connector road like that would be built all in one piece. That more likely it might come off of 64 and go for 5 or 6 miles and stop for a period of time. And then there may be a connector to that to another intersection and so on and so forth. And the project would probably most likely get funded in piece by piece by piece over a 20-year period of time. So it's not even as if we could just blink our eye and make it happen tomorrow. We're so far from that, it's not funny. But I would like to encourage folks in Rocky Mount and encourage folks in council too that let's think about what we can do to bring future growth to our community. How can we benefit from our location and how can we control the destiny that I believe that we have in front of us in a way that bottles it to create the maximum benefit to everybody. We talk about MWBE programs, we talk about lots of things, but let's try to do some forward thinking where we can use those principles and those lenses and use the wins that I think we have behind us and ourselves to create this community that it's not going to be here tomorrow. I mean, it just be foolish,
Yeah.
foolish to think so. But if we at least set it in path and raise the tide so that everybody can participate and everybody's on a boat. I told that expression to somebody once, said, well, that's great if you're on a boat. But what if I'm
Yeah.
sitting on the dock? But let's get everybody in a boat. Let's get the tide to raise, and so everybody can participate. And so this is, at least if nothing else, a thought around how do we get there? What is the best way to do it? So that's kind of where I was in my head when we proposed it. We've talked about it as it was talked about last night or Monday night. Clearly, we're a long, long, long way from it occurring. It is just discussion. Although, as Peter mentioned, there has been a conversation about widening a road on the Southern Connector. And what that looked like was taking it to the railroad trestle. But I don't think that creates the opportunity for South Rocky Mount that a bigger road would endear and create, just personally.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just in process and procedure of just, sort of the unveiling and unrailing of some of the planning, I think we'll have DOT come to a committee of the whole, then sort of push that conversation out to the public and allow them to provide input and sort of be a steering agent in that plan and in that process. But, for the public, the process it wasn't there yet. It was an
Right.
initial discussion starter. And as we move forward, we'll begin to see, and dig our teeth deeper into the plan, which the community will have full access to.
So it's a little bit what I call a BHAG, right? It's from one of those business books, big, hairy, audacious goal
Yeah,
to create opportunity. But until you have those, you'll never get there.
exactly. Exactly. So that was pretty much the bulk of public comment. Then we moved on to the city manager's proposed annual operating budget. It was good to know that our property tax is going to stay the same relative
Amen.
to a lot of different cities that are growing around us that are having an increase in theirs. And that's due to a lot of debt that they have to be able to try to bring down or minimize their. And so it was good to see even we have 94% of our collections. And so
Right.
we although there's an influx all around us, influx in revenue, influx in expense, influx, inflation is all around us. It was good to know that financially we're still sound and stabilizing where we are, even with being able to compete with the influx. So that was good news to know in the proposed budget.
And I thought that came up pretty well yesterday in your committee, the whole meeting for the budget session. I thought the fund balances over and over and over and over. We have just been in a great spot. And look, I think we have to give some credit to previous administrations and during the COVID period of time of managing through that pretty well and just being really tight. That's created some challenges like, the trash issue and some cap expenditures that maybe we didn't do. But with the lens that we were looking at the beginning of COVID, I think we played right well, and I think we've got money to work with. And I think we've just got to recognize that it could have been really a treacherous period of time that we have survived pretty well.
That's it. That's it, man. So it was a great conversation, as you said, even in the budget, our first budget work session, and we'll have
Yep.
another one next Wednesday. That date leaves me, but I believe it's June 1st. June 1st, we'll have another budget meeting, 4 p.m., our second budget work session. And so looking forward to that as well. On the agenda, item 9, there was, consideration. We approved the operational meeting where newly elected council members and re-elected council members will be sworn in on July the 11th at our council meeting. And then the one race with the runoff in Councilwoman Miller's ward, they will have the runoff until July 26th. So congratulations to all the newly elected council members and to the re-elected council members. Looking forward to the swearing in on July the 11th.
Well, I think to the two guys running off, right now, Jay Kelly and Pete Armstrong, I think, look, to get to that place, it's a big deal. And and I know, when you're campaigning, you put yourself out there. And I don't think folks fully appreciate what that means. And so I think a shout out to those two, too. And I think an encouragement, anybody watching, go out and vote. If you're in that ward, it matters. It matters.
That's it. It does matter. And, get to know your candidate. If you didn't vote,
Yeah.
you see now that your vote does matter. You could have been a deciding factor in that vote. So, again, encourage everyone to go out and vote between, and voting day is July 26th. I'm sure the early voting will start a week or two prior to that.
Yeah.
Consideration, I think the next biggest thing on the meeting for our council meeting was seeing that we approved a rezoning request, 34 plus acres. And so,
Praise the Lord.
It was sort of shocking to not hear us make a motion a couple weeks back on a rezoning effort for 50 or 60 different units, but to be able to see us pass this rezoning effort for 34 plus acres was very, very exciting to me to know that, we are welcoming and anticipating growth here in the city for residential housing. So I was very appreciative of that.
Well, where was the 34 acres located? I missed
That's
that part of the meeting.
Raper Drive.
Oh, the
I
Raper
believe.
Road. So that had come up and didn't even get a motion. So that had been the resolution on that. Yeah, no, I was getting a little concerned about us, to be honest with you. Look, we got no housing. We got no housing, rental or otherwise. And we keep just not moving forward. I was beginning to think, oh my God, what's going to happen here? So I'm delighted to hear that. And I think it's going to be a benefit to the community, increases our tax base. And it's just a good thing.
Exactly, Ben. It was great to hear. I was excited about it, and the last item that really stood out was knowing and realizing that we're going to have downtown development office downtown, and
Right.
we'll finally be able to have our downtown development office in the thicket and in the trenches of downtown, so that they could be able to see to the needs of all of our customer base that's looking or that's looking to invest in the downtown, or our current customer base that's already downtown, that's had any struggles or any type of issues with that downtown development office not being centralized in downtown. So it was good to know. There was a couple comments around, why we shouldn't do it and why did we spend the funds or allocate the funding that we needed to allocate to make it happen. Then the location. So there's all type of critiques and questions, criticism about it. Overall, I was very supportive for it. I think it passed unanimously. I think it was a unanimous vote. But yeah, I think it's very, very beneficial and vital to have that downtown development office downtown. We've done some new hiring in that department so that there can be some intentional focus as far as downtown development. And I think it was the right step and right move, in the right direction to make development happen downtown.
Well, I agree 1,000%. The other thing, again, talking about yesterday's budget meeting, first session of the budget meeting, there was some discussion about the event center, and where we had budgeted, I believe, in revenues, I think it was $9 million last year. We're expecting by the end of this year to be like 11 or 12 million. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was a pretty big pop. But I think the significance of that, and with the economic development, downtown development office being downtown, is the foot traffic that creates and the interest that appears. And then, how do folks know who to access about questions about how can I get it downtown and open up a shop, whether it's a pop-up store, whatever it may be, to be able to house that, particularly on weekends when we have that much traffic coming through. I think it'd be nothing but huge. Sort of something between a chamber / development / information center. I think it could be beneficial to everybody downtown. And look, you know as well as I do, I mean, you've got a business downtown, and so do I. So I'm not part of the Merchants Association there, but I do talk with them frequently. And, there's a lot of frustration with those folks. And I really call them pioneers. They're out there on the cutting edge. They're taking a risk. Many of them being very successful at it, but it's not been just easy, right? And anything we can do to make it easier for everybody, I think we all benefit from. And but I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited to see what I think that will add, going forward with development in the community.
Exactly, man, and I'm hoping and praying that it will allow us to be able to to have some slack on people calling us about downtown development. They can reach out directly to the department.
I wasn't going to say that like that, but since you brought it up, I'll give you an amen.
That's it, man. It takes one more. We don't have a problem, constituent base. Please don't get that confused. We don't have a problem answering the phone, emails, or calls as well. But it's very, very helpful to know that we have a centralized office that can now take that on. And if you have problems with that office, know that you can still reach out. But I think having it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and back to that topic in particular. No, I love hearing from folks, but people just assume that I know everything that's occurring in the city and exactly how it works. When they call me, that is their assumption. And the truth, I'm afraid to admit, is just something different.
Yeah.
I know who to call about a lot of things, but I don't know necessarily the answer or the challenges or any of that. So to have somebody who is a subject matter expert that's embedded in the area really should provide a better quality answer and a more immediate response than I'm able to do over the phone, or you, or go through the list. And so I think that's really, I want to make that clarifying statement, because I've learned in the last 3 years that you can't just make generic statements and not expect some backlash. So
exactly.
That's what we, and it's a little bit of an inside joke for us. And, so I think folks can appreciate that.
Exactly, man. As Miss Loretta Braswell said with Citizens Academy, council members, we don't know it all. And why she advised us to join the Citizens Academy so that we can learn more about the city and what the city actually does, what we have to offer, and who does have the answers to a lot of those issues and problems. But yeah, citizens, please don't get that confused by any means. If you need to call us, please call us.
That's right.
We openly accept and appreciate the calls. But yeah, that wraps up the actual agenda meeting, we did have the budget work session #1. And again, that was very, like you said, to your point, I think, prior administration, just over the years, to be able to hear about how the fund balance stays in good standards, and we haven't had to dig into and pull from fund balance since 2008 after the recession. That was very, very great to know and to understand that financial and budgeting office are doing all they can to make sure that they're trying to stay ahead of predictions, even though we're in this inflation period. And, things all around us are just the cost of gas, cost of oil, fuel prices. So it was just good to know that financially we're in a great place and great space in the city of Rocky Mount. Hats go off to previous administration, prior administrations, and to our current administration, and to the budget office for the work that they're doing.
So, do you remember Amelia Harper? She worked at the Telegram. She reached out to me yesterday. She is now working community development for the American Red Cross. And she just mentioned to me that, look, donuts were created by the American Red Cross, or at least a version of it, where they fried dough. Thus, World War I veterans are known as doughboys, right? The fried dough. So they have a donut day, which will be, I can't remember exactly. I think it's the first Friday in June, or maybe it's the second Friday in June. But they're going to, really dedicate it to local municipalities. And so that was the reason for the call, and just wanted to kind of promote it. So I was just sharing that with you, that it really is to talk about the good work that the Salvation Army does and continues to do. But also they were wanting to recognize local municipal governments in Nash, Edgecombe, and in Wilson County. And so I just thought that we had just a little nanosecond here. It was a good chance for me to kind of pitch that and tell folks about it and to check it out.
Well, I appreciate that, and we thank them for all of the work and service that they're doing for the community. And hopefully we can get some announcement out of Kirk Brown and our marketing team about it, so that we can be able to support it fully and take advantage of what they have to offer. I did see Miss Roberson come in the background there. Tell her next time she can join us if she likes.
I don't think she realized that she was in the studio today.
That's it, man. Well, we appreciate you, Mayor. Thank you for the time to allow me to share in the mayor's brief, as you do every month after our council meetings. Again, enjoying the time that we have to serve. We're coming into midway of the last year within our term after this, with one more year to serve. And it's been great. I think we've been able to accomplish a lot. And still have room for a lot of more growth and opportunity. But our time is running short here today for the mayor's brief with Mayor Roberson and myself. And we thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.